Hello and welcome back to Football is Life. I hope everyone's all right out there. Couldn't wait to come back on tonight and speak about some more football, rounding up the midweek action so far this week. Looking forward to the Premier League ahead, and also a little bit of spotlight on the news this week where we've had lots of news in football about football ownership and possible takeovers. So touching a little bit on that. And also, I know it's a football channel, but also some big, talent in other sports this week that we've seen in the darts. So I'm going to be giving the darts a little shout up as well tonight. But yeah, let's crack right on. Hope everyone's okay. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe to the channel. Come on, it's free to do. Join the journey, back the channel, and here we go. Let's roll straight into it. So midweek this week, we said we're going to focus on the Championship a little bit, look at the games there. We predicted them, and to be fair, we've done really, really well. Predicted a few winners, to be honest, and I'm quite happy with it, quite delighted. So really, really good. A really good, entertaining week in the Championship, midweek games, quite a few goals going in across the place, some big results. So yeah, really, really entertaining. And, it is a brilliant league, the Championship. And when the Premier League's not on during the week, it's a good little substitute in to have a look at. So yeah, really, really entertaining. Obviously, we're going to start with Coventry, who won 2-1 at Sheffield United. Big result for Coventry. And for me, 5 points clear, winning big games away from home at places like Sheffield United 2-1. They look good. They look like the team with Middlesbrough kind of faltering at home to Leicester, who are desperate for points. But yeah, Coventry, brilliant. They look really good under Frank Lampard. Had a little bit of a wobble, but they've bounced back in style. And they've got some good players, Jack Rodoni in midfield. He's really good for a goal. He looks a top player. Haji Wright, the American, scoring the goals for Cov. And for me, they're going to go up. They look like they're going to go up. I don't think they'll throw it away now. Yes, there's still a lot of games to go, but they look good. And I think it's more about who's going to join them. Can the Ipswiches, the Wrexhams, try and challenge and Millwall and, challenge the automatic spots. But yeah, Middlesbrough by no means guaranteed that second spot or going up, and they've got some work to do. So yeah, really entertaining. We've shouted up Frank Lampard before, haven't we, on the channel? But I just think he's doing a magnificent job. He looks like he's taking Cov back to the Graceland where you want to be. An unbelievable achievement and a big win for them. So great place to start. Sheffield United are going to be fine under Wilder. It looked like they might push for the playoffs, but I think it's going to be a bit too much beyond this season now. And yeah, Cov looked good. It's a great place to start with a Cov. Also, we're going to look a little bit as well at Wrexham. They just keep winning. I think since Boxing Day, I saw that on form, they're the number one team in the Championship, like the most goals. They just keep winning. Another home victory. Yes, they've invested, obviously, millions of pounds through the years now as they've gone up and up and up. But despite all of that, it would be some remarkable achievement to go from conference to all the way up to the Premier League. But they really, really might do it. And another win and, looking the part. So, I mean, whoever's going to contest that playoff final, whoever doesn't go up, it's going to be some battle in the playoffs this year in the Championship. And, brilliant, entertaining league. The games now are, blood and guts at this stage going in now. Everyone putting everything on the line. So an entertaining finish to the Championship, I think, for definite. I mean, Millwall, we'll come on to Millwall. I mean, what a season Millwall having. I mean, the season of dreams. They're on a roll and they just keep going. Like the best atmosphere it looked like at the Den for years the other night. And, the noise and the crowd, and it's a tough place to go, Millwall away. And to beat a decent Birmingham side who are having a good season, just like that, just to dispatch them, Millwall are really looking the real deal, and be interesting to see if they can get in the top two. I mean, it would be a remarkable achievement. They're having a remarkable season of what happens now, but even if they didn't get top two, they're going to be some force in the playoffs. So really good from Millwall. And then a couple others just to finish off the little roundup this week. One really entertaining thing I couldn't let it go by was Snoop Dogg at Swansea, co-owner. But to be honest, it escaped my mind. I didn't realise. But Snoop Dogg, I mean, massive. Just the scenes of him waving the scarf around and geeing up the crowd before the game as a co-owner of Swansea and their like American dream. But that was just really entertaining to see. Good to see on camera. And I mean, he's a character. He turns up at these sporting events, but obviously has every right to be at Swansea's games. But massive celeb, big name, back in the Championship team, Swansea. And it brings great exposure, doesn't it, to English football and Swansea over in America. And yeah, I just couldn't let that go. I just thought that was brilliant, entertaining, funny, great to see. But yeah, I mean, what a guy. And to see him going around pumping up the crowd like that was a bit surreal. It was like something you might find at an American football event. And just to see it on the Championship on a Tuesday night at Swansea was really entertaining. And then just to finish off, we just come away a little bit from the Championship. And obviously there was Champions League games. One that I just thought that I tuned into a little bit and then rewatched the highlights back because I couldn't believe it was Juventus v Galatasaray. Obviously Galatasaray really good, first leg, looked dominant. And then 3-0 down, Juve pulled it back, 3-0, goes level on aggregate into extra time. I mean, just madness. And then Galatasaray to come back 3-0 on the night to score 2 goals in extra time to send them through and knock out the giants that are Juve. 7-5 on aggregate was just madness. And European football brilliant at this stage. There were some other good games as well and some big teams going through. Paris struggling but looked like they had a real tussle with Monaco, and Real Madrid had to earn it against Benfica. So the Champions League really rounds up at this stage, and that was great to see. But I mean, the draw, if we're going on to the draw now, surely we all know what's coming. It looks like it could be Man City v Real Madrid again. I think that would be like possibly 4 seasons, or 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, something like that, where we all know what's going to happen Friday in the draw. It's going to be Real Madrid drawn, Man City, and they're going to go at it again over 2 legs. I'd be shocked if we didn't see that draw. So yeah, unbelievable. Looking forward to the draw on Friday. We'll reflect on that next week, I'm sure, in the next episode. But yeah, Champions League looks good. Teams starting to now have to ramp it up, and knockout football is nothing better than knockout football is there at this stage. So yeah, good big games. Obviously, I'm filming now is obviously Forest and Palace. They've got to finish the job off tonight, which I think both of them are going to be safely through. Forest safely through probably from the first leg, but you never know. Looking at that Galatasaray game the other night, and I think hopefully Palace can, good weekend for them, and hopefully they can follow up and get themselves through. We love watching English clubs in Europe get into the final stages, so yeah, that's what we want. And just a couple of bits to information just to break up the episode this week. We've got a couple, a lot around football ownership and rumours and things happening that before we go into the weekend's games. But one interesting one that I thought, shout up to the Sheffield Wednesday fans. They've been through a lot of turmoil, Sheffield Wednesday, and it's never fun for having bad chairmans or owners, and then having points deductions, knowing you're going down for a long time, then going down. It is shocking as a football fan, and it does take the fun away from it a lot when owners just put the club into mayhem. So I do feel for the Wednesday fans, but I mean, they've been linked with Mike Ashley now. Obviously got a history of owning football clubs and being involved in football, and it's an interesting one. And I just wonder what Wednesday fans really think of possibly Mike Ashley coming in. Is that another out of the frying pan and into the fire situation? I can't really recall his Newcastle ownership over, it was a long time, but I know a lot of Newcastle fans were happy at the start. They're not happy by the end of it and were relieved when he left. But, Sheffield Wednesday in League One, could Ashley bring him back? Wednesday fans, are you happy? I don't know if I would be if I was a Wednesday fan. I'd be very, very very unsure, for the want of a better word, of how that would play out, and a little bit worried about that. But yeah, an interesting one. So had to bring that up. Mike Ashley could be back in football. Good thing, bad thing. What do we think out there? Let us know. Football is life, legends. All right, let us know. And then another one come out today. Really surprising. And I wanted to bring this up because I don't know what people's thoughts are on footballers that are still playing, you know, albeit a legend and at the end of his career and playing in a different country, and, you know, the conflict. But, you know, there's multiple owners in football that own different clubs in different parts of the world, and they're kind of like become a group, a sporting group, and they transfer players between each other and give out loans to future stars to help development. And there's a lot of that goes on, like the grouping of football and kind of regulations behind that. But Cristiano Ronaldo tonight, today, shall I say, has taken over Almeria in Spain, Division 2. He's taken over, and his sporting company, 25% stake in Almeria. And I just thought, you know, that's a really, really interesting kind of deal. And what the finance behind that is, I don't know, or why Almeria, or, you know, is that going to be his future, a bit like Beckham and Inter Miami, and, you know, he's going to be kind of owner and try and look to take Almeria to greatness in the future. Obviously a very wealthy guy, you know, but it would be quite funny to see him play for Almeria, wouldn't it? In the last year, owner stroke player. I don't know if we've had that before. I think we've had owners stroke managers, but owner stroke player is quite an odd one. I was just really shocked to hear that come out today. Why Almeria out of all clubs? Is there sort of any family tie or anything to that on there? But yeah, interesting one. 25%. So Ronaldo dipping his toe in the ownership water. So don't know how that affects his future managerial career, what he wants to do after football, but looks like it's going down the ownership route. So interesting one there in Spanish football. Yeah, and then a really interesting point that I could have raised last week, but it's an interesting point around football. And I just think Martin O'Neill brought up last week after, you know, obviously Celtic playing tonight, Stuttgart in the second leg, you know, all but done, lost 4-1 at home. And what he alluded to in his press conference, which was really interesting, is the gap between Scottish football and the likes of Celtic. Even though they're a big club in their country, just the financial weight of football and TV money of how Scotland's kind of a small, you know, footballing nation, and the money is just not there. And having to play against what he quoted was £70 million substitutes, and that being the gap. Now, I totally agree with what he's saying, totally understand it. I agree with it. And I think, yeah, on paper, you can look at these big teams and big teams in the Premiership in Europe that have got £70 million purchases that are on the bench and rested for games, and, you know, or can't get in the team. You know, that just shows the strength of the Premier League, like we've said in the past. So I totally get it. And then if you look at it on paper, yeah, Celtic should be, you know, miles off the European big guns. And how do you get the glory days back for teams like that? I think if you look at a comparable, Bodo Glimt have done awesome in the Champions League, knocked out Inter. I mean, they've beaten Man City. They are a small town in Norway, and they're doing extreme things. So from one side of the argument of Martin O'Neill, I get it, the gap, and it should, you know, 99 times out of 100 games, you'll see that gap. But I do think, even if you look at like a Brighton, who are lower down the leagues and come up, or a Bodo, that actually if you put really good coaching or really good management with really good off the field decisions, recruitment, structure, you know, recruitment massive, you know, whether it's data or somebody with a brilliant set of eyes that know what they're looking for all over the world. Like, you can be a smaller club and put all of those things into place and go on a good run and get long-term, you know, success and development out of it, without a doubt. So I know you've got to have the two things compared, matched up. But yeah, it's just an interesting one that I thought, yeah, he's bringing that up and he's bringing that up publicly, but you can do it. You can do it on a shoestring budget. Yes, it's difficult probably to get to the top of Europe, but you can be the top of your country, keep knocking on the door, keep developing and finding players, and get ultimate long-term success. And I think if you're a club that hasn't got the TV money, that's what you've got to do, and that's the way you've got to play it, and that's kind of part of the fun in the game. So I get it, but I still believe that clubs can push and go, get into European football, get into like the last eight, and smaller clubs with not maybe so much the budget can still make that push. So that kind of rounds it up. Just a quick one on the darts. I just want to make sure I get her name right. But we said the other week about tennis with Carlos Alcaraz getting the Grand Slam, winning all four. But a shout out to this woman, Bo Greaves, all right, of darts. Came up on my phone the other day and I saw it and I thought, what a remarkable achievement. In the first leg of the match as well, she's the first female to get a 9-darter in the PDC Tour, all right? And her opponent looked absolutely stunned. She looked stunned. She was still muttering to herself on the next throw. But what a remarkable bit of talent. And, there's always an argument like, is the 9-dart, what's harder like that? The perfect hat-trick in football, the 9-darter in darts, or a hole-in-one on the golf course, They're all extremely skill, talent, luck, and it's all got a match. And it's hard to know what's the hardest thing to do, but I know for a fact a 9-darter is probably one of the best achievements in darts if you can do it, especially if it's obviously televised or or not. But great bit of talent. Well done, Bo. You deserve a shout out because I thought that was extraordinary and I love seeing that. Now, let's go on to the weekend games. The Premier League. We're back again this weekend, all right? And it's a Friday night game, which is unbelievable. I love that. Brilliant way to start off the weekend. And a few on Saturday and a few on Sunday. I've had a good look at the games this week. And last week was a really hard one to predict with some strange results. So we're going to try and pick out a few maybe cheeky little results that we might not expect to happen. But it starts Friday night and it starts with Wolves v Villa, Midlands derby, Friday night football. Wolves again, still capable of getting these results where, we might back the other team to beat them. And Villa have been really up and down. But I think Villa are going to just go back on the up a little bit here, get a result at Wolves. I know no Wolves fan will probably listen to me again after this. You can't say that we're losing in the derby, but I think you will. And I think Villa will return. So we're going Wolves 1, Villa 2. All right. And then we go into Saturday. Bournemouth v Sunderland is the first one. Sunderland obviously coming off that edge a little bit, starting to go into mid-table, losing some games, and I really make this a tough game at Bournemouth. I really rate some of the Bournemouth players. Ryan nearly scored again, didn't he? He hit the post last week, and he looks a player, like we've said. Junior Krupe, just Alex Scott in midfield, who's been given England recognition this season. I think it'd be too much for Sunderland to go to Bournemouth. I like Sunderland, good team, but I think it'd be Bournemouth 2, Sunderland 0. And then Burnley v Brentford. It's one that you look at and you might not immediately think, tricky little game for both. It doesn't stand out, does it, on the fixture coupon immediately. We always used to say there used to be a 0-0 on Match of the Day, and it could be that 0-0 last game of the night. Let's back it. Let's just think that Burnley maybe get a 0-0 at home. Brentford good season, but Igor Thiago's gone off the ball a little bit. Hasn't scored quite so many in the last few games. So we'll go Burnley 0, Brentford 0. Liverpool v West Ham. Obviously West Ham fighting to try and stay in this Premier League. But I don't give them a lot at Anfield. I think they'll give Liverpool a game. And as we know, Liverpool have not been glorious by any stretch, but they have been winning games. And I think they'll just get over the line in this one again. So Liverpool 2, West Ham 1. But I think West Ham are good for a goal. Could be a late Liverpool winner. It could be a tight-ish game at Anfield. And then Newcastle v Everton. Everton, as we know, better away from home than they are at home. And structurally better. And Newcastle don't really know what you're fully going to get. They'll either turn up and be absolutely mustard, or they'll struggle through. But I do think Everton might struggle going up to Newcastle, and Newcastle should just about have enough to get through this one. So Newcastle 2, Everton 1. And then Leeds v Man City. Now, this is my shock. A lot of people, like Man City, let's have it right. They could roll over Leeds. And like I predicted the other week, I thought Leeds might do something against Arsenal at home. And they got rolled over. But But I do think they've been brilliant at home. Crowd will be up for it. I think Man City are going to have a tough test, and I think this weekend is going to really suit Arsenal looking at games. I think it's going to be Leeds 1, Man City 1. And then we go to Sunday. So we have 4 games on Sunday, starting with the early one, which is Brighton v Nottingham Forest. I just think Forest are going to get something here. If they won it, it would obviously be amazing for their kind of survival hopes. But Brighton, you know, a decent side, and it easily could be Brighton. But I've just backed Forest, maybe just get a point here at Brighton with a good, resilient performance. So Brighton 1, Forest 1. Fulham v Spurs, London derby. I mean, Spurs are in trouble. They are in big trouble, I think, and they are definitely in a relegation battle looking at their fixtures. Now, it could be very Spursy that they get a win here, and they start bouncing, and they all say, you know, what was the worry? But I just think Fulham at home are decent, and I think Spurs will do well to get a draw, and I think they'll get a draw, but I think Fulham will have chances as well as Spurs, and it'll be end-to-end. I think it'll be a really entertaining London derby. So I'm going Fulham 2, Spurs 2, and a Desmond 2-2. All right. Man United v Palace. Man United are back. They're back. Give the job to Carrick now. I mean, he's been absolutely magnificent. They're going to keep going. If he was in charge at the start of the season, they would be at least 6 points better off, and they would be right up there. Like, they could have been right up there. Now, I know football doesn't work like that, but this, like, will they make the Champions League with that? You know, if Carrick was in charge sooner, they would be up there. He's getting the best out of them all. He's got the system sorted. They look good. Players that can hurt teams. Another victory at Everton, which is not an easy place to go on a Monday night. So, Palace, for me, playing in Europe tonight, going to be rotated, then going to Man United. And Palace aren't in the greatest place as a football club. So, I'm going for a big one here. I'm going Man United 4, Crystal Palace 1. And then to round up, Super Sunday of all Super Sundays. I mean, what a game to finish. 4:30, Sunday afternoon. If City don't get the win, Arsenal go into this fly-in. Yes, hard game, but we still know Chelsea are vulnerable. So Arsenal v Chelsea at the Emirates. I think it's a tough one for Chelsea and a really tough task. And I think Arsenal are just going to roll now. And I still see them winning the title. I still think they're going to be too much. I think maybe blips are gone. Yes, Chelsea can catch them out, but I don't think Chelsea have got what it takes to beat Arsenal defensively and then Arsenal on the offence. Fancy Eze to stay in the side, grab another goal. Fancy Arsenal to be strong here and be too much for Chelsea. So I'm going Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1. All right, love coming back on camera. Really love it. Enjoyed it. Hopes that everyone stays safe. If you're playing this weekend or watching the game, enjoy. All right, give me your likes, comments and subscribe. Keep supporting the channel, all right? Be good. Take care. I'll see you soon. Football is life.